Go Negosyantes, welcome sa isa na namang araw na puno ng inspirasyon at practical business tips. Ako po si Michelangelo, ang inyong kasama sa pagtuklas ng mga winning Go Negosyo attitudes ng ating mga small and medium entrepreneurs. Dito lang sa SME Go, powered by Go Negosyo.
Let's go!
Maayong buntag! Yes, you heard it right. I just greeted you in Bisaya because we will go all the way to the Queen City of the South to visit enterprises from the province that made it big. From the certified Cebuano pride, Loudbasstard and Moon Café, positive vibes doesn't stop as we check out the Entrepreneurs Night in Cebu City. Let's draw inspiration from the homegrown Cebuano businessmen together with the country's dedicated entrepreneurship advocates. All this and more only here on SME Go, powered by Go Negosyo. According to history, Cebu was known as fishing and trading village in the earlier times. People in the province were poor, so they had to engage in trading and innovate in order to survive. Kaya siguro magagaling at innovative na negosyante ang mga Cebuano, no? Warming up our Cebu visit is the inspiring story of young innovative entrepreneurs Onozawa and Franz Ignacio, maker of 100% awesome Loudbasstard.
Loudbasstard started 2 years ago when me and Franz were on vacation from our previous jobs. And we decided that we wanted to move to Cebu. Well, I will move back and he moves here. And we started designing a couple of things for my mother, who was an architect. Doors, light fixtures. And one day we're up in the mountains getting inspiration, and we were playing with a phone that we played music using a cup. And from there we just decided to design something solely for that purpose. Well, we wanted to do the least amount of manipulation for a material. So we thought about using a lot of other materials like coconut, rattan, and bamboo became the, it's like it tells a lot about the Filipino culture, and bamboo is a very, very fast growing plant, grass, and we didn't have to do much with it. We didn't even have to use nails here.
No, we just wanted to live here in Cebu, and we needed a means to live here. So,
but it's in the interest of like creating and making a difference. I was in the archaeology industry. I was an archaeologist, an underwater archaeologist, and a cultural heritage manager. So. Had a lot of cultural tourism work, heritage revitalization, and archaeology throughout the Pacific Islands.
And I was in the art industry, working for Christie's Auction House in New York. I was in logistics and operations.
You know what happened was, we decided to quit our jobs. I was working in Japan, very great job, had very comfortable. Franz as well was very comfortable in New York. When we decided to quit our jobs to start this, we got so much negative feedback from our families. So we had zero support. So despite the background in furniture or whatever, it didn't do any good for us in the beginning because
we wanted to prove to them that we can do it ourselves without their help.
So we started making a prototype ourselves, and then that's all it is really. You make it and then you're just constantly wanting to improve it every day until you're satisfied with it. And then you release it to the market, and then you still improve it.
But we never had the intention of releasing it to the market. This was just for our own personal use. Well, our friends were going crazy about it, and I mean, it happened during almost Christmas time, right? Or around that area.
Before October. Yeah. We decided to just put a brand on it, and then make a website, and then start. And then yeah, we got filled with orders in the first week. I think we sold like 300 pieces in 1 week, in the first initial week of putting the website out there with 0 followers. So we're like, oh, this is people like this, so we went for it. We were on the way down from the mountains, I was saying, and then I was like, Franz, man, this is gonna be such a loud bastard. And they're like, hey, let's just name it that, but add another S to make it music related. What were your challenges, Franz?
Everything from manufacturing, packaging to... We weren't really very seasoned in business at all. We were really asking a few of our mentors for help. I mean, we've come a long way from where we started, but I mean, we learned very quick. So
I'd say my challenges were being able to convince, when you're building a team and you're starting out, the biggest challenge for me was convincing the potential team members, like, hey, you know, we're not gonna fail here. You're gonna be part of something, and it's very tough for people, especially this age. They want to work here, they want stability, and so, no, you really have to convince them of your company's mission, your vision. We have to explain where we're headed, where we want to be, and why we're doing this, and the risks and the reasons behind our risks. And eventually, I was able to. We got it.
international orders started coming in, and
well, for me personally, it was how old were we back then? We started October 2012, and on April 2013, we got invited to Berlin for the Bread and Butter show. It is the trade show for successful brands in Europe, and we were the only Philippine company to be brought there. So that
6 months.
yeah, just within 6 months, and all these big blogs and websites featured us, and I guess that's how they found out about us. And we got featured in the Brown Green Book of the Year, and just all that press from Europe. We were like, wow, this is, we're onto something. So we went to Berlin, and it was a fantastic show. People got to know about us. We got good feedback.
after we realized that this is a big potential, we decided to put 110% in and stay here.
I mean, I grew up playing a number of instruments. I play the piano, I play the guitar. I used to play the violin and the bass guitar. But it was just a passion thing, and I love music. Like, I'm constantly searching for new and old music and making playlists. I used to make playlists for you remember Jan of Ilaputi? He was last year's or the other year's winner. Yeah. So when Ilaputi, I would make playlists for his restaurant. And just as a friend, like, hey, check this out, and then, yeah.
But I think that's how we clicked, though.
Yeah.
Like, we only knew each other for a few months before we even decided to become business partners. But the thing that we were very close to was music. We just kept sharing music, and that's how we really clicked.
To make a successful company, you have to be very, very good at team building. I think that's something a lot of companies that start off overlook. I think they can do it all themselves. So the business now has moved from our beginnings as an exporter to now we're in the domestic market in the Philippines, nationwide distribution in retail, actual stores and online. And we have distributors now internationally. You can find our product in all SM Cultura branches. We'll be available also in restaurants and a lot of other boutique stores around the country, tech stores and souvenir shops. The product has become one of the most sought after Philippine souvenirs. And so we're happy that in the span of a year and a half, it's it's made that name. You can go to loudbasstard.com and you can also purchase from that. I think my advice would be there's a difference between being passionate about a project and to want to make a difference. You can be passionate about little puppies, for example, and do all you can about that, but then sometimes that's not what makes or changes the world. But you can, if you always start with addressing a need, then your business or whatever you're doing will attract the right people and you'll create the right product or service to address that need. So think about addressing a need rather than focusing on an all-passion thing. See an integration, it's going to be very competitive, and the good thing about that is everyone's standards will rise. Branding standards, marketing, your product, and our preparation is being able to make longer-term goals, and our business plan is stretched out and more solid now, and of course establishing key relationships with the people in the region, so that when it does open, we have our team locally and regionally. So we're talking to people in Malaysia, Singapore, Bangkok, and see how we can help them as well as they can help us. So I'd call it maybe like a competition. Well, I've always been into preserving like the Philippine culture or any other culture, so which is why I did archaeology and cultural heritage. I worked for National Geographic. I got a job straight out of college before my graduation to go to Japan and Guam. So I always knew that whatever I put my heart into and my brain into, I could do it, because I was addressing something that I really wanted to. Sorry.
Well, my passion was design, and I took up architecture in order to create furniture. I just took a different route than everyone else did, and I wanted to produce award-winning furniture. I mean, I have already. I created a piece with a team of 2 others that was featured in Art Basel.
I got into archaeology, and all I wanted to do was publish works and preserve something that's part of my culture. Half of my culture is here, and I wanted to preserve that or make it more known. I think the Philippines lacks a little bit of branding in terms or identity crisis a little bit. So as an archaeologist or anthropologist, that's your goal. You want to kind of make our culture cool, put in some sense of pride to being Filipino, Cebuano. But with Loudbasstard, we're doing the same thing. We're putting Philippines on the map, we're putting Cebu on the map, we're putting the types of products that Filipinos are capable of making and marketing. So I would say it's not a very far out from what I wanted to do.
I believe we had the same aspirations as before we started Loudbasstard, but once we got into this business, this industry, we have grown so much as personally and business-wise.
I'd say I'm very loyal, hard-headed, but determined.
Persistent, passionate, and stubborn.
I love to scuba dive and just be around in the water. Free diving, scuba diving. I like to travel so that I can dive. And a lot of outdoors. We're always in the outdoors. Yeah.
Anything that has to do with water, fishing, diving.
Franz grew up in Florida, in the Keys.
I was a water baby. So
And I'm from Cebu, so obviously we're...
I want to continue innovating.
I wanna keep growing, learning more. There's so much to learn. and we want to be able to build a company that can last long and that can diversify into different things as we grow. That's the best part about being in this industry, I think, for me personally. But in business, you meet all these different people who are so brilliant and are so passionate about doing things and creating so much new things, and you learn from them, they learn from you. Next thing you know, you're building something and just keep creating.
Seeing all the people that we help every time we go to the factory, it is very rewarding to see how many lives that we've affected or changed because of what we've done.
Ever since I was in grade school, high school, college, I've always put the same thing on my yearbook. It's the most cliche quote now, I guess. It's by Gandhi. Be the difference you want to see in the world. I always stuck to that.
Balance between work and your personal life. There really has to be a balance. You can't have too much of either.
So we love the food. My family used to go to Moon Café very often. It was very far from where we live, but we still went there because the food was good.
Good journey always begins with good food. With that, we give you the restaurant that gives extraordinary fusion of our Mexican and Filipino cuisines. Let's go and visit another seasoned Cebuano entrepreneur, Bani Pares, owner of Moon Café.
Well, we actually did not start Moon Café. We bought it from a previous owner. It was very successful for about 6 or 7 years. It was just in a hole in a wall, and they grew it. But what happened later on, it was mismanaged, and it actually went bankrupt. And we bought it in 2007, and then we improved it. We hired the best designer to improve it. We improved the tagline and the products. We improved the service and the design. And then we grew it since 2007 into a 1 restaurant operation, into a 20 restaurant operation now, 9 company owned and 11 franchised. So we love the food. My family used to go to Moon Café very often. It was very far from where we live, but we still went there because the food was good. Actually, this was operated and started by 3 artists from the University of the Philippines, and they were doing so well, but eventually the chef, the girl, the woman, got married. She left for the States. The other partner was hired by an airline company, and it was only managed by 1 partner. And I believe that business is a team. So what happened when the team got broken, the business also got broken. And that's where we came in and bought it in 2007, and we revived it, we refreshed it, and it has become a very successful brand for Cebu and the Visayas and Mindanao the past 5 or 6 years. Well, first of all, at the time we bought it, it was just Moon Café. The first thing we did was rebranded it. Not really rebranded it, but made the brand more focused. So we put the tagline, Mexican-inspired restaurant. So people exactly knew what they were expecting. We're not exactly Mexican, but we're just inspired because the motive, some of the menus that we have, the products we're selling are Mexican. But we're also like a Filipino restaurant at the same time, but with a Mexican twist. Next, we redesigned the whole concept and really refreshed it. And the service, we've improved a lot. So the food, we kept most of the products that were really successful and very popular, but we added some new ones. And then we marketed it, and the people just loved the brand when it started to just grow. And we added more branches, and it has been very, very successful the whole few years now. Yeah, well, actually, it's not just my hard work, it's also my family's hard work. My son, Charlie Pajes, who's very, very keen on the restaurant business, is really our lead person in this business and the Moon Café and our other restaurants. But I think the big difference is that we're really operating in a green, not in a green, but in a blue ocean strategy. We're the only one doing the same thing. Others tried to follow, but did not work. Maybe because we were first, but it's unique in the sense that the taste is it's Filipino, but it's got that Mexican twist. Well, the first thing we did was we actually sort of rebranded the whole thing. We redesigned the outlet. We spent quite a good amount of money to redesign it. We improved the service. What we did was we kept the kitchen staff, about 14 of them, but we let go of all the service people and we hired new people, rebranded, put everybody in uniform with the name tags. And I remember the old Moon Café did not even have cushions on the seats. So the first thing we did was made sure, I know some restaurants don't want their customers to stay very long, so they don't put cushions, right? But we said, no, we'd like our customers to be comfortable. And if they want to stay longer, they can stay longer. So we put the cushions, and that made people really comfortable, and the brand was built from that. You know, this outlet was our second Moon Café. The first one was in a very far away place in a private home, and when Ayala saw it, they actually offered us to put it here. So this is our second, and maybe what I can say is this made Moon a byword because this became very, very successful over a short period of time. No, we're actually sort of refreshing the brand because it's been about 6 years in the old design, and we will eventually do all the rest soon, little by little, slowly. But we are also introducing new products into the market. We believe that we need to do this quite often because we have a lot of repeat customers. If you make a survey now and you ask people here, maybe 7 out of 10 would have come back. They're not here for the first time, so people keep on coming back. So we need to do this, and we will continue to expand in other locations. Right now we're not in Luzon yet, but we're open for a franchise in Luzon for the right location. The food industry has high potentials, but it's also laden with much risk. And what you need to do is you need to develop a product, you need to develop a service, and even a concept that's quite unique. And if you are going into an established market, like we went into the food, like the native restaurant business in our Lanta restaurant, it's an old product, but we made a twist. Our locations are unique. We've got a floating restaurant, we are up in the mountains, and we're up in the South Road properties, and that made us unique. So have a product, have a concept that's unique. The service has to be tops, and of course the food has to be really good. And for the Cebu market, very affordable prices, because this is a very demanding market throughout the Philippines, guys. Well, I actually finished chemical engineering, so I worked with Mobil Oil for 5 years. I joined the life insurance business, which is quite unique for a chemical engineer to do it, and I stayed there for 23 years. And after that, I thought it's time to really go into my own. So at 49 years old, I resigned. I retired from the insurance business and we started a school. It's called Playhouse Children's Center. We started daycare centers. It's called My Playroom. And then we went into the other businesses, Thirsty, the restaurants, and we have other restaurants that's happening in the fresh juice business. So that's how things went, but it's done very, very slowly and gradually. No, but to me, you know, an entrepreneur is a person who sees a business opportunity and builds an organization to pursue it. So my mindset is always growth, it's always moving forward and to continue to expand businesses. So we're not going to go into a business that we cannot expand. Actually, when you think about it, you spend the same amount of time, the same effort and the same hustles having a small business compared to a big one. The only difference is having the right people in the right seats to run your businesses. So we make sure that we have the right people managing, and what we do is we supervise, we manage, and we lead the team quite often and regularly. Well, I think the only way to really get rich, and if you want to prosper, is to go into business for yourself. You know, if you're an employee and you stay an employee for the rest of your life, it's not going to be easy to really become wealthy and rich and be able to provide as much for your family as you were to go into business. But of course, not everybody should and can go into business. I think there are certain traits, there are certain characteristics, and maybe a certain amount of luck for some people to go into business. But I think you should try to go into business, but you should of course try to minimize your risk by setting all the conditions properly. You know, have a good product, have a good service, and make sure that you put all the components into place before you open. Otherwise, the chances of failure are also pretty high. Of course, it's safer to be an employee, but being safe is you stay there, but if you want to take a risk, you can actually go much higher. So I want to encourage everybody to go into business, but be sure that you are covered. I think it is, first of all, a very strong focus on positive outcomes. You know, whenever I go into something, I think about why it should do well and why the outcome should be positive. And I do a lot of things to work. I work well with people, and I think all the time, but in terms of acting, I think I'm also pretty good in the execution part. But the important trait, I think, is really the positive attitude of positive outcomes. Believe in yourself too, of course. Your question is, what is my principle? You know, I think my motto is to constantly improve and become better in everything and every aspect I do. And I think that motivates me the most. I think it's being able to give jobs to more people. And nothing makes me happier to hire additional people into the organization. And to see people develop, and to see people prosper, and to grow with us.
What we have to do is to continue to inspire them that Filipinos are not destined for poverty. Good evening. First of all, I'd like to thank you for coming this evening. I'd like to welcome Mayor Mike Rama. We had a very interesting discussion. Again, coming in Cebu, you can feel the prosperity, and the best sign of prosperity is traffic. The Go Negosyo movement has been around for the last 9 years. And in about 2006, I think we had an event here, and that was the beginning of Go Negosyo in Cebu. Earlier, I guess our Executive Director, Lopez, explained the vision and mission of what Go Negosyo is. Today, Go Negosyo is comprised of over 600 entrepreneurs. Jay, Kenneth, Justin, Uy, and many others in this room are part of this loose group that has been around helping not entrepreneurs who belong to the medium and large category, but our vision is really to help entrepreneurs in the micro and small. As we all know, the Philippines has been blessed over the last 3-4 years of economic blessings. We have been rated by Moody's, S&P as investment grade. If you look at it, what drives our country is really the private sector. The private sector being the entrepreneurs all over this country. Many of them, millions of them actually, come from the micro and small. The few of them actually come from the medium and large, which we are all part of. But the greatest challenge really here, and our vision, and I'm sure this is the vision of your mayor of Cebu, is to really see how one day we can eradicate poverty. Poverty is the greatest challenge that our nation faces. But we have to realize that as medium and large business grow, we can see the many micro and small entrepreneurs languish they are, from our studies, many of them are what we call survival entrepreneurs. And the challenge really is, how do we scale them up? How do we help them? And that's basically through mentorship training and really inspiring all of them that they can become one day a Kenneth, a Jay, a Justin, etc. But what we have to do is to continue to inspire them that Filipinos are not destined for poverty. And so, if we look at what makes success, it's really the character of an individual. And that is what we want to impart to our small entrepreneurs, the values and the winning formulas that drive many of you here to success. Thank you.
There is a certain creative spark or innovation. What makes Cebuano, what is that unique thing that Cebuanos have? What is in the water over here in Cebu, Jay, that makes you guys different? What do you think? Let's start off with you, then go down up to Mr. Justin.
You know, I had the same question a few years back. But Cebu, unlike the rest of the Philippines, was blessed with arable land or great fishing grounds. So Cebu, for a long time, several years ago, was actually poor. So Cebuanos had to be innovative, had to be entrepreneurial, had to seek work outside of Cebu. They had to flee the mainland and look for jobs everywhere else.
What did you find here in Cebu particularly interesting for your business?
After meeting a lot of SME customers and hearing their stories, creativity is definitely the key word. The creativity of making something out of nature as well, I think it's really very commendable for Cebu.
What else do you find about the Cebuano that makes you different from the rest of the world and the rest of everything else?
Being open to trade, we're also very open to ideas. We have no qualms about speaking English everywhere. We're not as nationalistic as our counterparts from Manila. We're probably only nationalistic when it comes to Cebu. And I think that's it. And so, since we've nothing really grows here, and we've had to rely on our own resources and our own skills.
We've seen it, what separates the big boys from the small boys. It's really creativity and innovation. And if we draw inspiration from Cebuano entrepreneurs, Kenneth is one of their examples. He's the one who actually designed a trophy many years ago. It was a wooden trophy, which we converted to metal. The ladder means it's a ladder of success. So you can imagine how Kenneth at the time looked at the ladder as a symbol of many entrepreneurs who struggle in life and move on that ladder. So in my many years, 9 years of meeting hundreds of entrepreneurs and attending hundreds of events like this, it's been a great learning experience for me myself. It's even much more, a lot better than going to an MBA course. And through that experience, you can imagine that many entrepreneurs who form part of this advocacy learn from mentorship. And mentorship to me is key. In this room alone with many entrepreneurs here, we learn what makes somebody inspiring and what is his formula of success, what's his business model. The key really in success in life and success in business is how to innovate and create our respective business model.
We always encourage our people to be creative, at the same time to be hardworking. I would say Cebuanos are more hardworking really, because even being creative without hardworking, you do nothing. So I think I'll talk more tomorrow.
the Filipino brain are actually smarter than most nationals in the world. And I believe that because I've been in business since more than 40 years ago. So creativity means a lot. That's why, like what Kenneth was saying, his design was photogenic. So the idea there is, in this time, he's the perfect person at the perfect timing for the perfect product. Most wines were created for the Western palate. So our wines is for the Asians, for the Asian food. We're very different. So how do I get to be recognized? I get it validated by global, competition that only does competition via wine tasting. So here we are now.
Well, my top of mind is Cebu. I've been involved in this state. I know Jay, one of the things that I'd like to share is that it's not really a regionalistic thing. I think it's a personal trait of an individual more than a regionalistic thing. So if you look at, Cebuano or Noel, etc., the outstanding people, it's really their background that makes a big difference. Training makes a big difference. What they did in the past, their education, their network can make a big difference. So I wouldn't want to, to 100% agree, but give a different perspective if I may.
When you talk about the asset integration, I think one thing you need to look at is also on the flip side of things, which is that the truth is, we have great products, we have a great workforce, we can compete. And I think that's something we miss out. Cebuanos, for example, really great enterprises, which are world-class, as seen by the people around me. And we can compete. I think that's something we forget. We always just look at, we're gonna get eaten up, we're gonna get gobbled up. But the truth is, we have the best economy right now in ASEAN. So probably if you look at other countries right now, they're probably saying the same thing, which is watch out for the Philippines.
Go Negosyantes, maraming salamat po sa pagsama nyo sa amin. Sana'y nakapulot kayo ng inspirasyon at practical business tips na makakatulong sa paglago ng inyong pagnenegosyo. See you again next week. Ako po si Michelangelo at ito ang SME Go, powered by Go Negosyo.
Sa tagumpay, Pilipinas ngayon na ang oras. Tayo'y umasenso na. Let's go Pinoy. Tara magnegosyo na. Let's go Pinoy. Kung sa business kayo ay may success, kung ang ideya nyo'y truly the best, kung hanap ninyo ay isang kasosyo, let's go, let's go, let's go negosyo. Go, 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 go negosyo. Pilipinas, now is our time. Go, 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 go negosyo. Kailangan lang ay positibo sa buhay, maging malikhain sa lahat ng bagay.